Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Man, we had a time yesterday. The clear front runner for the Republican presidential nomination came to Regent University. Donald Trump made his views clear on several key issues during his visit, including government spending, President Obama's executive orders, and what he wants in a Supreme Court justice.
Trump told the audience that evangelicals played a major role in his big win in Nevada caucuses. Heather Sells has this look at Trump's visit just 6 days before the Super Tuesday primaries next week.
Donald Trump arrived at Regent University walking and talking like the front runner that he is, and giving credit to people of faith for supporting him in Nevada.
One of the things that made me so happy is as you saw, we totally won with evangelicals. I mean, we were big league with evangelicals, and it was such a good thing.
He was also quick to tout his family. Sons Donald Jr. and Eric joined him on stage to give their personal endorsements.
We know what he feels about this country. We know the values that he's instilled in us growing up: education, family, work ethic. All of these things that are often lost on children of similar fortune. You don't read about many children that came from the kind of wealth that we were able to brought up with in the way that you perhaps read about us. And I won't talk about myself that way, but I'll talk about my brother and sister that way. So those are all things that he doesn't get credit for. Those are the things that you don't see. Those are the things you don't see when he's a father, when he's now a grandfather to my 5 children. It's really incredible. He likes to talk about business, and he's phenomenal at that. But if you knew the real Donald, you'd also see something really special. He's an incredible guy, and we're just thankful that he's doing this for not only ourselves, our children behind them, but for everyone in this country, because he'll do a phenomenal job.
He has been our best friend. He's been our mentor. He's just the absolute greatest. We've worked across the table with him for the last 10 years, building hotels and golf courses and everything all over the world. And, everything he touches turns to gold. I say that all the time, but everything he touches turns to gold. And, that's the touch that this country needs. It really is.
But Trump told the audience that business success pales in comparison to success at home.
The really successful people are the people not with the great wealth, but with the great families, where they have great kids and wives and husbands. And those are the people that are the happiest. And I don't know if I'm speaking against myself here, but the fact is that, you can have, I know the most successful people in the world. I deal with them all the time. I know them. I know them in many cases very well. These are not the happiest people, generally. A couple of happy, not too many, because, no matter how successful, they all want more, more, more. It's never satisfied. And I guess I get a little bit guilty of that also. But the fact is that the happiest people I know are the people with great families that love their families, and when their families love them. We have amazing people in this country. And one of the most amazing people in the whole country is our great friend, Pat. Will you come out here, Pat? Look at him. One of the great people.
Right. Yes, sir. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Wonderful. Thank you. Man, it's good to have you here with us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You inspire us all.
Robertson's first question dealing with the Obama legacy of executive orders.
There's a little office underneath the Capitol where you could go to, and by the stroke of the pen, you could cancel a great many of the executive orders of your predecessor. You don't need Congress. Executive order, you can do it. What would you do?
Well, I would do that. We expect to cancel many of the executive orders that were passed because, Obama has not been able to run things the way you're supposed to run them. So one of the first ones I'd knock out is his executive order on the Second Amendment, where he's chipping away at it, which is so important, the Second Amendment. And the other one would be the one on the border, where basically he wants people to pour into the country unchecked. And the courts have been, following that one. And amazingly, we had a couple of pretty good decisions so far, but it's still out there. So I'd save the legal fees, frankly. I'd get rid of it. I'd knock it out very fast. But because we do have to, and I know you believe in this, you have to have strong borders. If we don't have strong borders, you saw the Pope came out against me a little bit, but that was before he was very nice, because the next day he issued a statement.
Well, he realized he had a pretty big wall around the Vatican, and so he changed.
Next up, the federal deficit.
We've got a massive deficit, and we're running a deficit every year, and the wasteful spending is out of control. There was a commission, Senator Simpson and Erskine Bowles got together and gave a very reasoned proposal. Have you adopted anything like that? We've got to have some way of cutting the spending down. What are you going to do?
Other than, and I think I could add to it a lot, though, because I'm going to bring jobs back to the country. Our country has been stripped. We've rebuilt China. And again, I like China. I think China is wonderful. I'm not angry at China. I'm angry at our representatives, our people, our president for doing such bad deals. And not just Obama. This goes back. You know, this isn't just now. But Obama's been horrible, and others have been also. And so I'm not upset with China. I have them as tenants in my bank. I had the biggest bank in the world as a tenant in one of my buildings in Manhattan. I sell millions and millions of dollars worth of condominiums to the Chinese. So I can't be angry at them. Same thing with Mexico. I mean, I have great relationships with Mexico. Problem is, in both cases, but really in all cases, all countries, every country is killing us because we have people that are political hacks that are negotiating trade deals. They know nothing about it. And they have the smartest, sharpest people that they pick out when they're practically 3 years old. You understand that? Yeah. They go up this pyramid chain, and they pick them out very early. And our people cannot deal with it because we're not using our... We have the greatest business people in the world. We don't use them.
And yet our tax burden on corporations is probably the highest in the world. What are you going to do with it?
So we have the highest taxes in the world, the United States. Think of it, with deficits like this, and yet we have high taxes. I'm cutting taxes very substantially for businesses. We're going to bring businesses back. We're going to bring our jobs back. We're going to make sure that, you know, look, China is one of the great currency manipulators in history, ever. There's nobody ever like this. Japan is really good, but China is even better. And they have done a number on us with manipulation, with devaluations. In fact, our dollar goes up, and everyone says, oh, isn't that wonderful? In the meantime, look at Caterpillar. They can't sell a tractor. It's a very bad situation going on. So, and they have no fear of us. They have no respect for us anymore. In the South China Sea, just before I left, I was watching where they're building this massive, massive military complex in the middle of the South China Sea. They're not supposed to be doing it. But they're doing it because they don't respect our president. They don't. I mean, he gives them state dinners when they come over, but they have no respect. And we have a lot of power over China. We just don't know it. We have people that don't know it. The power is straight. We've rebuilt them. They are taking so much money out of our country. What they've done, and I say it, it's the greatest robbery in the history of the world, what they've done. We've rebuilt China. You just take a look. We have rebuilt. They've taken so much money out, and we have to stop it. And we have to use our power, because we have a lot of power because of trade. We have to stop it. And we can get them to do things like they have to solve the North Korea problem. We have a North Korea problem that you probably know better than I do, because I know that's also a part of the world that you look at very. Right. But we have a big problem. You know they don't exist without China. But China, Pat, says, well, we don't have that kind of control. They're just toying with us. They have total control over him.
Trump, known for the New York Times bestseller, The Art of the Deal, repeatedly touted his ability to negotiate and told the audience how he would outsmart foreign competitors.
Do you know, Pat, that the politicians talk about free trade? I'm a free trader. But you got to have smart trade, too. You have to have intelligent trade. And I say there'll be a tax. Like Carrier, I was just saying, Carrier's moving over to Mexico. They're going to make air conditioners. They're going to sell them to us, no tax, no nothing. So we lose 1,400 jobs. They move to Mexico. They build a plant. They employ Mexican people, which is fine. They make air conditioners. They sell them. I would tell them, here's the story, folks. And this is the only thing you can do to stop it. I mean, in all fairness. Here's the story. You're going to make air conditioners. We wish you a lot of luck. I hope you build a nice plant. Enjoy yourselves. But every time you put an air conditioner into this country, you send an air conditioner, you're going to have a 35% tax. They're not going to move. They're not moving because you have to do it. That's called... Now, Pat, there are people that would say, oh, you're not a conservative. Well, I'm the most conservative guy in many ways, but you have to be smart.
The death of Supreme Court Justice Scalia also took center stage. Trump said conservative principles will guide him in nominating anyone to the high bench.
Scalia just died. He was a dear friend here at Regent, a dear friend of all of us, and a great justice. In your selection as president, what criteria would you use to pick somebody?
Pro-life.
Pro-life.
We want. Starts with that. Very conservative, very, very smart. I mean, like Judge Scalia would be a perfect, he was a perfect representative. I've always said that Justice Thomas doesn't get enough credit.
He's a wonderful man.
He is. He's a wonderful man. He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
And I've always said, and as I said, Judge Alito is a terrific guy. So in that realm is what we're talking about for me.
David Brody, chief political correspondent for CBN News, moderated the event and included questions from the audience.
Will you emphatically stand with Israel?
Yes.
Is the question.
Very simple answer. Yes. They've been our most reliable ally, especially in the Middle East. And you look at, what's happened with Israel. They were so against this horrible Iran deal. They were so against it. And I tell you what, Obama was the worst thing that's ever happened to Israel. You can look at it as he's not a good president and he's not doing a good job. And you look at Bibi Netanyahu, you look at what he has gone through. I mean, you could just see the level of exasperation on that man's face, how they just, the most basic things, they weren't winning anything. Why did we make a deal like this with these people? And they look at us like they have no respect for us whatsoever. They can't believe themselves that they were able to get this deal. I don't get it. I mean, I don't get it. There are a lot of theories out there, but I don't get it. This will be studied and studied for a long time. And this will prove to be a very bad deal. This will lead to nuclear proliferation 100%.
Next question. James wants to know about the Constitution. As president, what will you do to restore adherence to the Constitution by all levels of government?
Well, I'm a very strong constitutionalist. I mean, I feel so strongly about it. And we've gotten away. I mean, frankly, I think you could say it, not giving it a lot of thought, but all these executive orders, that's not a constitutional thing, and nobody ever saw it.
Lexi from the audience right here. Mr. Trump, there are some who say that in the past you have supported Democrat and liberal views. How can voters be sure that you will truly hold and would actually continue to uphold Republican ideas and values?
The fact is that as a businessman, you get along with all politicians, or you have a problem. So I get along with Democrats, I got along with liberals and conservatives and Republicans, I get along with everybody. All right. Because that was my thing, it was very important.
Rounding out the forum, Robertson asked a final question, wondering how Trump would handle the ongoing federal probe into Hillary Clinton's emails on her private server.
Hillary, if you were president, would you instruct the Attorney General to indict her for what she's done in relation to the emails?
Well, it's an amazing question because, there's a 6-year statute of limitations. Might be 5, but probably 6. And the answer is I would instruct them to take a look at it, because it's not really our call to say indict. Yeah. But certainly you would have to take a look at it. There seems to be a lot there because, every day we see people and we read about people that are experts in the field. And how often do you see somebody saying she did nothing wrong? Yeah. They're all saying she did something very wrong. That's right. But they're protecting her because she's the #1 runner and she's saying how wonderful Obama is. Did you ever see anything like it? Every single thing that he wants to do, she's saying great. So she's doing it for that reason, believe me, folks.
Well, Donald, I want to thank you. I think the audience really appreciates and loves you. They've appreciated you being here. Well, it was quite an appearance. We had 45,000 people online on that. And you can watch Donald Trump's full appearance at Regent University on cbnnews.com. Now, Friday night, tomorrow night, Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz is going to be joining us for another Regent Forum. And we'll have highlights of that interview Monday on the 700 Club. And again, you can watch it online at Friday night. I think it's
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock East Coast time. Ted Cruz.
Right.
Wonderful. Well, we're getting them all here, and I think it's interesting. Were you interested?
I was fascinated by it. And we had the crowd at the School of Communications and then an overflow crowd in the chapel. And so lots of people wanting to hear what he had to say.
45,000 online. Watching.
Amazing.
Yeah, so he's a big draw. And unless in this Super Tuesday coming up, somebody throws a roadblock and it doesn't look like anybody is, he's gonna, as he said once, run the table. I mean, it's a pool term. He'll run the table. I mean, they'll all be. I mean, there's nobody can stand against him. He's leading Rubio in Florida. I don't know if he's leading Cruz in Texas, but he's close. And these other states, he's actually leading John Kasich in Ohio. You just can't believe it, but it's happening, and the American people are responding.